welcome to the Barn Chats with. Today we're joined by event rider Connie Copestake. Riding for France but based in England, Connie has a string of horses at a variety of levels, from youngsters up to 4-star, and some very exciting prospects. Connie is one of very few selected to be on the Windrush Equestrian Foundation, a charity supported by 2TheBarn, which offers fantastic support for young professional event riders, focusing not only on their riding and training, but also their own physical performance and building themselves as a brand. Hi, Connie. Thank you so much for joining. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. We finally got there after some technical issues, but we're there.
Yeah, we got there.
Cool. So let's just start by you telling us a little bit about yourself. So how old you are and where you're based.
So I've just turned 24 and I'm based at home in sort of South Lincolnshire, near a town called Stamford, which is where I've always been based in this area. And yeah, so.
Cool. And how did you get into riding?
By accident, in all honesty. A horsey background at all. It actually started from, a friend's birthday party at school when I was 4. And we went to like a local riding school, and we got to like pat ponies and brush them and got plonked on and water. And I really liked it. And so Mum took me back, and that sort of went from that to sort of lessons at the weekend. And they used to have like a pony camp in the summer, which I used to go to. And then, sort of I begged and begged and begged for my own pony, and then sort of my parents gave in. I think they're regretting that. And then started in local pony club, and then it sort of transformed into this, really.
Wow, that's amazing, because a lot of people in your position would normally be from a horsey background, so that's quite amazing.
Yeah, just sort of fell into it by accident, really.
And so you are a French rider, you ride for France, and you're based in the UK. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I've always had dual nationality. So I was born and raised over here, but my mother's French. So always had dual nationality, always carried 2 passports, and then sort of started in the British system, did ponies and juniors over here, and had always wanted to go and explore that sort of French option before. But I was still in school doing sort of exams, A-levels. It just would have been too complicated to travel back and forth. So after my A-levels, I got in touch with the French Federation, and they invited me to do some training over there in the winter, sort of coming into my first year of young riders. Loved it. They were really welcoming. Everyone was really nice, really friendly. It was quite daunting, actually, because I didn't know anyone, didn't speak particularly good French. And that sort of sealed it for me after, I think we spent like 4 or 5 days training at the home of the Federation. And did all the paperwork, and by February I was changed nationality and haven't really looked back, to be honest.
Great. And you were saying how being in Windrush, it's really nice that it's a mix of nationalities as riders as well. And like you said, they had Susie Berry last year, who is Irish, and then you've got an Italian rider as well.
Yeah, Lorenzo, who's on the part-time programme. And I think I know Susie a little bit because she's sort of based in a similar area to me, so I see her at quite a few events. And like I know, obviously, she was on last year, and that was sort of one factor that actually really appealed to me applying, that you didn't have to be British. So, and I think that's why Windrush is really good, that up until you're 21, you're sort of under the umbrella of youth teams and being in a youth program where you're part of that support system, and then you sort of step out into the world of seniors, and it's like jumping off a ledge a little bit. Like you sort of are like this tiny tadpole in an ocean of people that have been there for like 20-30 years, and you're all of a sudden having to make a name for yourself, and you sort of outside of that support system as well. It's quite scary almost, and that's where Windrush has actually been really good. You're sort of part of that program, that support system, where actually you are still part of the training program, even though you're sort of in that weird in between stage of youth teams and not quite being a senior rider yet. You're sort of a little bit in no man's land, so it's great to have almost a little bit of hand holding, I guess, to sort of help navigate through a little bit.
Absolutely, with some, you know, absolutely top professionals in their areas. So, like you say, it's jumping off this cliff. All of a sudden, you're competing against your idols that you grew up watching go around badminton, like, wow, and now they're your competitors. It's the maddest jump from young rider to senior. It's mad.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about Windrush? So I know that you go and have lessons with Pippa Funnell, and then you also have, I know Alice Fox-Pitt does some help with the kind of the social media side of things, doesn't she?
Yep.
Along with Emily, and then you also have Pilates as well, don't you? So can you tell us a little bit about all of that?
Yeah, so it's sort of very much like a 360-degree view type of thing. Obviously, we're very fortunate to work with somebody like Pippa Funnell, you know, who is like a coach and a mentor, and you know, is always there to, you know, I suppose when we're at home as well, pick up the phone if we're stuck with something and bounce ideas off. And but there's also like a whole other side to it, where again, like you said, help with social media and interviewing and you know, all that kind of stuff, which is being done with Alice Fox-Pitt and Emily Mumford, and that's been really, obviously now social media is such a huge part, so that's been really good. And yeah, we've had Pilates. We had like a first sort of group Pilates when we had a big training in January, which I think we've like for a whole morning pretty much did loads of exercises, strength and conditioning, stretching, and then through lockdown over Zoom we've had sort of one-on-one sessions every
Oh really?
And
right.
Yeah, so no hiding, we have keeping us busy. And actually, you know, things like that are sort of, I suppose as riders we're all a bit guilty of neglecting ourselves a little bit. You know, we put so much focus into getting the horses right, and we sort of forget that actually we need some help as well sometimes with you know, our own strength and conditioning, physios, all kind of stuff like that we sort of ignore a little bit. So that actually is really highlighted for me, you know, areas that I'm really weak, you know, and then, you know, thinking about it actually, you know, hold on, I have a horse that finds half pass to the right really difficult. Well, maybe that's because I'm weak at that side, and you know, little things like that. And you know, it's not so much the horse; it's actually me. You know, and that's where then I can become better, and I can ride my horses better. And yeah, we've had support with like the business side of things, looking at accounts and the more like paperwork, business operating side of things, which is hugely important, but again we get a bit nappy about doing it. But equally as important as riding horses, you know, running it as a business and making it all work.
Yeah, and like you say, that's total 360-degree kind of look at everything. That's amazing, and it's invaluable lessons that you're learning. That it's just, I'm sure Pippa would have loved to have received that when she was, you know, our age, to do that. That's amazing. It's such an amazing experience, and all of you guys that we've spoken to are so grateful for it and really using it and utilizing it and thinking like, oh God, Pilates, but actually straight away you've seen how much a difference it makes and how advantageous it is to riding. It's so easy to forget that you guys are athletes as well as the horses.
Yeah, and it's something I think we're all guilty of, that, you know, because our main focus is the horses, you know, that they are our number one priority. And, you know, we sort of, you know, when we get a little bit achy sometimes, we just push it to the back and carry on. And actually, you know, that's maybe because of a misalignment or weakness on the side, and you know, that translates to our horses and how they work and how they move, and you know, by correcting ourselves, actually, you know, sometimes the horses come out and work a lot better as a result.
Exactly, 100%. So like you say, so you're based at home, and so you've got this fantastic support system from Windrush. Can you tell us a little bit about your sponsors and your support team? Have you got many members of staff? And I assume your parents are quite hands-on?
Yeah, so based at home, so obviously like parents are milling around somewhere, when they're not at work. And yeah, I've got a really, really good team at home. I've got my groom Tara, who is, you know, brilliant. Couldn't do it without her. And I've got also one of my best mates, actually, Tintin Belsham, who comes and helps me at events and has to organise me and get me in the right place at the right time. And yeah, I've got a few long-standing sponsors who I'm hugely grateful for all of their support that they've given me over the years. Seda Home would probably be my longest standing sponsor. I've worked with them now for probably about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And then Saracen Horse Feeds, again, 5 or 6 seasons. And then Cook Coach Builders, PM Equestrian, Arc Equine, again, all people that we've worked with now for probably over about 5-6 years. And again, their support is invaluable. Couldn't do without them.
That's a long time to have already been working together at your age. It shows how much you believe in their products, how, you know, supportive they are as sponsors, and how much they believe in you as well. So, you know, keep the sponsorship going. It's a real thing at your age, to be able to sit there and list some amazing sponsors like that is a pretty good thing. Cool. So we'll just go into competing a bit, and so I've just got a few questions. So to you, what is the best part of competing?
Probably that adrenaline rush of when you come off the cross country and everything's gone according to plan, and you walk back to the lorry and you've got the biggest grin on your face, and actually, like, when you jump around a big track on your horse and they've given you everything, and they've tried really hard for you and given you everything that they possibly can, and just having that, I suppose, that partnership with your horse as a result, that that bond and that level of trust that comes as a result of all the training and all sorts of things like that, really.
Absolutely, yeah. There's like nothing comes like close to that feeling, does it? So what tips do you have to ensure that you and your horse perform to your best on the day? So are there any kind of, I don't know, any rituals, any funny little like things that you follow, and then any like, I don't know, more substantial tips, sort of like ways that you live by to make sure that you're both getting the best out of your day?
I mean, I'm not particularly superstitious, but the one thing that I'll never do is use something new at an event, because I consider it to be bad luck. That's like one of my little quirks. I can't use something new because something bad will happen. But apart from that, we try and keep everything in the same routine. So like in the warm up on that horse, I wouldn't change as to how I would work them at home. So actually everything is in the same sort of thought process. And like, it's tempting, I guess, when you're in the warm up and you sort of watch people in the corner of your eye, working away, and you think, oh, they're doing this with their horse, should I be, and actually like having that concentration, that focus, that what they're doing with their horse is fine, but you need to focus on what you're doing with your horse and work accordingly. And that would be the main thing, that we try and keep everything as similar as possible, as even if we're at an event, we work them in the same thought process as we would at home.
Absolutely, like you said, it's very easy to get distracted and start being, and your brain's kind of not in the same state as it is at home. You've got adrenaline and you've got nerves and you've got
totally.
like you say,
and they do as well. Some horses are completely different at an event that they would be at home. They come out and, they're really relaxed at home, quite quiet, and they come off the lorry at an event and they're like a fire-breathing dragon, and then all of a sudden, then your plan has to change accordingly to what you've got on the day. But I suppose like your basic principles of how you work the horse still have to stay the same, even if they're a little bit fresh, and try and keep everything as stable as possible.
Yeah, and then you're asking them to do something that they know what you're asking them to do, and great. So what is your favourite event and why?
Oh, that's really difficult, actually. We're very lucky to go to some amazing events, but I don't know. I went to I was lucky enough to go to Blenheim last year, and that was amazing. Going for cocktails at the Palace was just unreal.
Pinch me moment.
Yeah, it was literally like you sort of walked in and like it was amazing, and you know, they had like somebody on the bagpipes in the courtyard, and it was just one of those surreal moments. But then also, like, I suppose it's a tie. Bramham is also a big favourite. Again, I was lucky enough to go last year, and I think as well because they run an under 25 class. Actually, there's a lot of people within my age group, so it was almost like being back in youth teams, almost a little bit. You know, having a lot of friends around and stuff like that, which was really nice. And again, a lovely event, lovely venue. So yeah, that sort of joint favourites.
They're two pretty good ones. What stands out as your career highlight so far?
Bramham last year, I finished 5th in the under 25 championships, which was my, and for the horse as well, first 4-star long.
That's amazing.
That was done, and we sort of went in a little bit not knowing how it would go. You know, it's the first time that we'd ever asked him to sort of gallop that long, and Bramham's sort of known for being quite a big, bold track, and to finish 5th was a bit of a okay.
Yeah.
A bit surreal, and it was on a horse as well that I'd had since a 3-year-old, and it's sort of a little bit like my child, and yeah, we sort of act like he's a bit of a pony and part of the family, and actually we drove back thinking, oh, he sort of surpassed all of our expectations.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. I love the idea of you know, when everyone else sees you up there and coming place, like, oh wow, you know, they're on sat on a proper horse. I love the idea of you being like about your own horse, like, oh okay, yeah, he's not just our like little pet anymore. Love that.
Literally, like, it was sort of the turning point. We sort of drove in like not knowing how it would go. You know, it was the first time at that level for us both. You know, we didn't know that he'd do the distance, whether it would be too much for him, or you know, and actually, like, he rose to the occasion and ticked every box, and came back with a big old smile on his face, and we were like,
that's cool.
Right.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah, literally. Dude.
That's so cool. Fab. So we'll talk a little bit about starting out. What advice do you have for people who are wanting to make a career out of their riding?
I think probably the best thing that you could do is leave home at some point and go and work in a top yard, see how it runs, learn your trade, so go and be a working pupil somewhere, because the experience that you get is invaluable. And actually, you know, start from the bottom and work your way up. And yes, it is hard work, they're long hours, but you have to do it. And it's something I did 3 years ago now. I went to France and worked for an event rider called Tom Carlisle for 7 or 8 months, and again, like that was learned so much, learned a huge amount, rode lots of different horses, lots of young horses, and just learned what it was like being on a big yard and having to manage everything. You know, it's just miles on the clock, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great experience. And I bet your French was good when you got back from there.
It was much improved.
Did he give you your lessons in French?
I did cheat with Tom. We did talk in English.
Really? Because my friend's just got back from there, and he's English, and he only gave him lessons in French. So he's got harder since you've left.
Yeah, he has. No. Obviously, when other people were around, we spoke in French, and everyone who worked on the yard only really spoke French. But yeah, I'd cheat with Tom a little bit.
Cool. So that leads us on to like motivation. So what drives you to get up in the morning and go training every day? You know, it's middle of February and it's raining and it's cold, and it's a third day that you're going to go out in a row and get wet through to your underwear. Yeah. Why are you doing it? What motivates you to go and do it?
The desire to get to the top, I think, probably is the most motivating factor. And you know, I'm very fortunate at the moment that I've got a yard full of lovely horses as well to ride. So that is always, you know, there's not one on the yard that I go, you know, they're all really talented, lovely people to work with. And yeah, that's always a motivator, that actually when you're sat on good horses, you look forward to riding them, you look forward to working with them, and hopefully seeing them progress up the levels as well.
Absolutely, it's like having nice co-workers.
Yeah, very much
so. How do you think being an athlete makes you a better person?
I think it makes you more balanced as a person, because like it is such a roller coaster of a sport, and there's just as many lows as there are highs, and you sort of have to deal with them as they come, and I think as a result you have to be, I suppose it toughens you up a little bit, the fact that it is such a roller coaster, and you just sort of have to treat each day as if as it comes, and not get too worked up about when things don't go to plan, and be able to make a new plan. And
I never thought of it like that. That's a really interesting way of how that interferes, not interferes, but kind of how it works with your daily life. That's really interesting way of putting it.
I think a lot of people as well, particularly now that we're sort of in the age of social media, that whenever you look on social media, it's always really positive. Nobody ever puts anything bad up, or when they've had a bad day, or like you sort of drive home from an event and you've had a pretty shocking day, and you're scrolling through and all your friends have had great days, which is great. That's fantastic for them, and you're sort of like, and you sort of have to take it with a bit of a pinch of salt, make a plan, evaluate where you've gone wrong, where you can improve, and just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. It's very easy to compare, but especially in eventing and horses in general, everyone's on their own path.
Yeah, totally, and we forget that a little bit, and I think it's something we all do, we're all guilty of.
100%, because you want to be as good as the person next to you, but focusing on what they're doing isn't going to get you there.
No.
So it's easier said than done, though.
Yeah,
that leads us nicely to, like, after a tough day, so like you say, on the way home in the lorry, what do you say to yourself? How do you pick yourself up if you're just like, ugh, that was really rubbish and I'm feeling really rubbish about it?
Normally I'd phone some of my friends and just have a bit of a laugh with them, and they normally cheer me up and put a smile back on my face, and I suppose you just have to, again, take it with a pinch of salt. Like, we're not going to win all the time. We're not machines. Our horses aren't machines. We all have an off day, and actually, as long as everyone's come home in one piece, there's always another day.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So we'll just kind of touch on the current climate. So obviously the 2020 event season wasn't what anyone expected. Good old COVID-19 came along.
Yeah.
But we obviously had many top international events cancelled. We should be at Burley this weekend, just, competing or not, just watching. So we are really lucky, though, because we've got much more of an event season than we thought we would have. We've had almost 2 months back, I think, and it's looking pretty good. Po is looking to go ahead. So we have actually also had some internationals. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you found eventing, like the new eventing to be with the new rules, and what you think we can learn from this pandemic?
In all honesty, it's actually not been too strange. Like, all the events that we've been to have ran really well. They've actually probably been a bit more organised than previously. Now we have to stick to our times, particularly on the jump. Like, obviously dressage phases, we all stuck to them, but we're all guilty of trying to sneak in a bit early so that we can jump ahead of our time, and obviously now we can't do that. Everything has to be by the time, and that's actually worked really well. Having bigger warm-ups, particularly in the show jumping, has worked really well. No one's arguing over fences, and everyone's got enough space. All credit to the event teams and the organising committees, because in what must have been an impossible year, they've done a really good job. And we had a run at Bergen last week, which was our first international of the year. And again, like, they did a really good job. Obviously, like, little things that, you know, we had to wear a mask if we weren't on a horse. We had to wear a face mask at all times. But apart from that, like, it wasn't too different. And I think as long as everyone uses their common sense and, you know, obviously respects the rules, and, you know, they're there for a reason, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, and I suppose, like, when you sort of run into somebody that you know at an event, you're not literally shoulder to shoulder with people. You'd be sort of 2 or 3 meters away from them anyway, even if you were having a chat. So, I mean, it worked really well. Everything seems relatively normal, to be honest.
Good. That's what we like to hear. It's a good thing and then I think we're also desperate to be back out competing and for the sport to be going ahead, that everyone's so keen to make sure they follow all the guidelines and restrictions, so that there's no breaches.
Totally. Like, you know, sort of April, May time, we didn't know if we'd event at all this year. So actually, I think we're all just massively grateful that we can go out. We are, you know, we can go and have to respect the guidelines that have been put in place to protect us, and you know, hopefully the sport can carry on resuming.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So we'll just talk a little bit about your stable. So can you tell us a little bit about a couple of your horses, maybe your like higher level horses, or maybe you've got like some younger ones of your own that you've bred?
So we've got 9 in at the moment.
Wow.
Ranging from 4-year-olds to 4-star horses, and then sort of my top 3 horses are all horses that have gone advanced. So there's my top horse called El Calibri, who he stepped up to 4-star level last year. He was placed at Bramham at the 25s, went to Blenheim. He had a run actually at Bergen 4-star last week. Again, sort of part of the family, you know, we've had him since a 3-year-old. He's sort of, you know, part of the furniture, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a super little horse. He's only 15.2, but he sort of thinks he's 17 hands and can take on the world, and no one's going to stop him.
Oh wow!
He's just got the most amazing brain and temperament, and a massive heart, and loves his job. And then I've got a new ride this year called Yana de Cavagnac, who's owned by Susanna Lai, who she'd gone advanced previously with Susanna's daughter Zara, who's now off to uni, hence why I've got the ride. And we've done 4 events together. She went double clear at Bergen 3-star last week, aiming to go advanced at the end of the year, if all goes well. And yeah, amazing little jumper. We nicknamed her the Red Ferrari. She is wicked to ride cross country. Just
cool.
real little blood type. Always looking for the flags. You know, she just is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Just one of those that's just so much fun to ride. You know, absolutely loves her job, and you know, is always like a let me at it type of gal, which we love.
Yeah.
And then sort of again in sort of the top A team, I've got my old mare at Pravanta, who was sort of my first proper horse. This will be our 8th season together, I think. And again, she was the horse that I did sort of juniors, young riders on, went round our first advance together. And yeah, so hopefully she'll step up to 4-star at the end of the season. So it'll be exciting for next year.
Sure. So you got loads of real nice horses at the top, some really, really exciting rides.
Yeah, really exciting.
That's a good position to be in.
Yeah. No, we're very lucky. And then sort of underneath that, we've got some lovely young horses coming through as well. We've got 2 at sort of 2-star level who will hopefully step up to intermediate next year. And then underneath that, some that are just about to start eventing, which, yeah, really exciting.
Cool, a whole range.
Yeah, we've got everything on the yard.
Good stuff. So just got one fan question. And and they have asked, how old were you when you started thinking, right, I'm going to make a career out of riding, I'm going to give it a real good shot?
I think that sort of came in like the last couple of years that I was at school when I was doing my A levels, and that was at the time where sort of all my friends were busy getting like UCAS statements, doing all of that, like looking to unis, and I was like, I don't want to go to uni. That's not for me. And like talking about it with my parents, I mean, they've always been massively supportive, you know, and they were like, you know, uni's always going to be there, and they sort of insisted that I did go back to do my A levels so that I have got like a plan B. So I've got something to fall back on. But they said, you know, if you want to pursue eventing as a career, you know, like go for it, give it everything, and see where you end up. So it's sort of 17, 18 that like I definitely put my mind to it, like that's what I'm going to do, that's what I want to do. And that was sort of the turning point, really.
Good stuff. Okay, some quick fire questions to finish off. What's one word you'd use to describe yourself?
Determined.
We've had that one a few times. That's a good one. You have to have that to be an event rider. Who inspired you as a young athlete? Doesn't have to be horsey.
It wasn't necessarily a who, but a what. So I'm very local to Burley. That's probably one of my most local events, and we go every year. Obviously very sad that it's not running this year, but we've always been every year to go and watch. It's always it's sort of it's got a bit of history, I suppose, as well. Stamford's my hometown. It's where I've grown up. My old school actually backs onto Burley Park.
Wow.
I was a member of Burley Pony Club, so actually started doing sort of Pony Club camp and all the hunter trials and stuff like that actually in the park. So that's always been somewhere where, you know, we go to watch the now 5-star, and I sort of go there with stars in my eyes and sort of watch, you know, people that you idolize going around, and that was always a massive sort of motivator that I'd come back and be like, I want to go there one day.
Absolutely, that's a good way of putting it. And right, that's where it is. That's the aim. I'm gonna work hard to get there.
Yeah, and like everyone always says that like badminton is sort of their aim, but for me it's always been Burley, because I suppose I'm a local girl and I've always been. That's always been the one that I want to do that one.
And it's the biggest and the scariest in the world.
I didn't quite have that in my mind when I was watching it, but there is that bit as well.
So I've got, how old were you when you first started riding? You said you were about 4. You went to good age, very young.
Plonked on a pony and led around.
And that's it, and the rest is history, and it's been a very expensive hobby since then.
And it's sort of escalated into this.
Turned it into a job. It's a good idea. What's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Actually from Australian event rider Andrew Boyd, who I think I would have been 17, 18, and he said, whatever you do in life, surround yourself by good people. And that's always stuck with me, and that's what I've tried to do at home with sort of like my home support team, you know, trying to find people that are, you know, fantastic at what they do, are, you know, genuinely invested in horses, and that's always stuck with me.
That's a good bet. And like, you are really a product of the people you surround yourself with, aren't you? So
totally. And you know, I suppose as well, like your home team, they're just as invested in the horses as you are, you know, and they want more than anything to go out and see them do well and make sure that they're happy and healthy, and you know, that's always something that we've tried to do at home.
Who is your sporting hero?
Oh, that's quite hard actually. Probably Usain Bolt, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. He just had this sort of, this edge that, you know, even though I suppose his races only lasted like 9 seconds, but they were just, I just thought he was phenomenal to watch.
He's a unique individual.
Yeah, definitely.
What is a strength of yours?
I'm quite stubborn. I think my parents would probably class that as a weakness, but no, I'm quite pig-headed, and once I've got an idea in my head, it's quite difficult to sort of steer me away from it. I've got sort of a one-track mind in that respect.
I like that you've put that into a strength. That's a strength, that I'm like that.
Depends who you ask.
What did you have for breakfast today?
Some toast, a bowl of cereal, and a cup of tea. Nothing too fancy.
What's your favourite film?
Love Actually.
Great film. Are you one of those people that only watches it at Christmas though, or do you watch it year round?
I have to watch it in December. That's like the only time I watch it. But it's just great. Like, it's such a feel-good film, and
good.
Yeah, can never watch it too many times.
No, I'm already crying at the beginning when they come in at Heathrow Airport. I'm already crying at that bit.
Yeah, and they do it again at the end, don't they?
At the end, yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
And lastly, what is your favourite meal?
Mum's roast dinner.
Can't go wrong.
No, can't go wrong. Definitely the best roast dinner going. Biased, but.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Connie. It's been great to speak to you. It's been really, really interesting, and really look forward to catching up with you out eventing soon. Hopefully see you before the end of the season. And yeah, we'll be watching you, hopefully at Burley next year. Who knows? But thank you so much. It's been really great to chat to you. Thanks for taking time out of your day today.
No, thank you for having me. It's been
great, and we'll see you soon.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.